So we want to thank you today, Ted, for being here. We'd just like to ask you if you'd give us a little explanation on why you think the Dambusters raid was so important.
I think the Dambuster raid was important for a variety of reasons. Probably the most important of which is that the Allies had not had any substantial victories in the war from 1939 to 43. I mean, the British had nobly fought back in the Battle of Britain. There were attempts to hold Hong Kong and the South Pacific that failed. The North Atlantic was a battlefield for the naval forces of the Commonwealth, and they were holding their own against the U-boats. But that was it. And then Dunkirk and Dieppe were essentially retreats and disasters. So with that unfortunate sort of black cloud over the Allies' future, there was need of some sort of a positive piece of news. And when the story of Barnes-Wallis, who designs this bouncing bomb, emerges, certain forces within the RAF and within government and within the Air Ministry felt this might be just the operation to provide that uplift, that boost. And Wallace designs a bomb that will bounce over the nets that are protecting the great Ruhr River dams, and the means to deliver it in a Lancaster, only they choose to do it in about 20 of them, with about 20 of them. And it's going to require, one, getting the ear of Winston Churchill to give it an okay, two, the Lancaster crews who will be skilled enough to deliver it, and all of the technology, the upkeep bomb, the lights that will allow them to get the correct altitude, all of the modifications to make this whole piece of technology work took time. But they didn't have time. So why it's important is, yes, it could be a boost, a morale boost if they could succeed. But in addition to that, you've got crews from all across the Commonwealth, 133 men, a quarter of them Canadians, who are essentially recruited for the 19 Lancs that went. And they are the creme de la creme. These are the men who have performed the greatest service in Bomber Command for one or two full tours of duty, and they are chosen. Add to which the fact that half of the 133 men were trained as pilots, navigators, flight engineers, bomb aimers, wireless radio operators, gunners in Canada. That's never mentioned when their qualifications come up. It's how many tours have you got, how many sorties. It's all operational. They forget about the training. So that's significant for Canadians. And then finally, I think the other reason that it's so significant is it was a horribly risky, dangerous, and disastrous raid for human loss. Of the 133 men who went, 56 were either killed, captured, wounded, whatever. That's almost half of those who went. And half of the Canadians, 30 of them, 14 didn't come back. So it's significant in terms of recognition of the human cost too. So it's important on all those levels, on all those counts. The Dambuster raid became, for the British, like a cause célèbre, like the 4th of July or the 1st of July for the Americans and us. It was their statement of survival. My book, Dambusters, Canadian Airmen and the Secret Raid Against Nazi Germany, took a lot of work from a lot of people, not just myself as the researcher and the writer and so on. But when you're doing something like this, you depend on the resources of incredible pools of historical research and gathering, from the personal diaries and manuscripts and letters that people who were witness to this event preserved. And so families are as much, the families of the 30 Canadians who allowed me into the pilot's logs, the letters, the personal letters home, the unofficial and illegal journals that many of these guys wrote, to be able to probe their personalities. Remember, 14 of them died, so I can't talk to them. But their letters and their diaries and their photographs talk. So that's valuable. Now, in designing this book, I designed it just like The Great Escape. I wanted to make sure that all of the men who are in this important picture, this photograph was taken on the 17th of May, 1943, when all of the guys got back these are all the Canadians who survived. And I wanted it to be a pullout like that so all 16 could be seen. And I could have put a photograph or a painting of a bomber attacking the bomb, or a Lancaster looking absolutely incredible flying through the air. But for me, this is a people story. So I wanted to make sure that they were front and center. So yeah, it's a jazzy title, sexy title, referring to the Busters and the Nazis. But what's most important is that the faces of those young men are really the heart of this story, the essence of it. So they become, both in the look of the book and in the contents of the book, the thread. I wanted them to power the story through. The story's been told in dozens of other Dambuster books, but this is different because it's from the perspective of, yeah, Barnes Wallis, yeah, Winston Churchill, yeah, Ralph Cochrane and all the brass of the RAF, but also these guys, who were the NCOs and the officers in Bomber Command who came from Canada.
And number 3, landing in clear runway. Running number 3, good night.
We're in the Petwood Hotel, which is in Woodhall Spa, Lincolnshire, during the war known as Bomber County. Well, the Petwood is famous for lots of reasons, but for most of our visitors today, it's renowned as the wartime home of the Dambuster Squadron. So 617 Dambuster Squadron moved here in January of 1944. So after they'd done their DAMS raids, their squadron was relocated to RAF Woodhall Spa, and that's when they moved into the Petwood Hotel, which had been requisitioned by the RAF to fly their Tirpitz and other low-level flying raids. So the Dambusters were a specialist low-flying squadron formed in 1943, and they flew some low-level raids over the dams in Germany with a specific target of flooding industrial regions of Germany and hampering the German war effort. They used a bouncing bomb, which was invented by Barnes Wallis. And in fact, in the grounds of the Petwood Hotel, we still have one of the early prototypes of the bouncing bomb tucked away in the gardens, which is a nice little feature for our visitors to discover.